Number 8. Kelly K. Green. On February the 2nd of 2020, Instagram model Kelly K. Green, known to her social media following simply as Kelly K, stormed the field during the Super Bowl at the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. Green, a Los Angeles resident, jumped a Northwest rail and got into a restricted area during the game. According to Green's account of the incident, she'd catapulted herself over a 10-foot wall to reach the area. The 27-year-old's plan was to run onto the field and rip off her dress to reveal the bikini underneath. Footage from football fans seated close to the incident showed Green being tackled by multiple security members during her streaking attempt. As she was being escorted away, Green lifted her dress and mooned those in attendance. She would later complain of being bruised up by security personnel, as well as being kept in a cold holding cell underneath the stadium for roughly 8 hours. Green also reported being interrogated by Homeland Security and the FBI before being taken to the Miami-Dade County Jail for processing. She was charged with trespassing on property, a misdemeanor for which there's a maximum penalty of 12 months in jail. After she was bonded out, the model made multiple posts on Instagram about the incident and even uploaded a photo of her mugshot. The stunt had reportedly been set up by Vitally Uncensored, an adult website owned by Vitaly Zdorovetsky, himself known for participating in or putting together numerous field invasions during sporting events. He'd allegedly bought Green's Super Bowl ticket in exchange for her running on the field while wearing a bikini that had his brand name on it. Number 7. Brisa Dominguez. 25-year-old Instagram model Brisa Dominguez was arrested at a hotel in Clearwater, Florida in 2017 following an altercation with police officers. On July the 5th, the authorities were called to the Edge Hotel just after 4 a.m. to deal with the disturbance. Dominguez had been told by management that she was no longer welcome on the premises, but she nevertheless refused to leave. Security had seen her going into another guest room and alerted the authorities. There was indication, according to the police report, that Dominguez, who boasted over 70,000 followers, was under the influence of alcohol at the time. The police arrived to find that the model was nude. Officer Richard Edmonds handed her a towel to cover herself, but she grabbed it and whipped him in the face with it. She then kicked him as he stood in front of her. Another member of the law enforcement team approached Dominguez from behind and attempted to make the arrest, at which point he was mule-kicked by her. The model intentionally kicked 3 officers while handcuffed and also attempted to bite and spit on one of them. She was eventually brought into custody for trespassing after warning, but also faced charges of resisting an arrest with violence and battery on a law enforcement officer. Number 6. Mary Malloy. In 2018, fitness model Mary Malloy from Brisbane, Australia, was arrested in connection to an MDMA drug operation led by her former bodybuilder boyfriend, Jason Atkins. The street-level enterprise ran from 2016 to 2018 across the Queensland capital, and at the height of his power, Atkins was making daily bank transactions of around $200,000. The operation took a major hit in 2017 after a stockpile of pills was seized by police from one of Atkins' stash houses. The 32-year-old became concerned that he wouldn't be able to cover his debts and face repercussions. He thus enlisted the help of Instagram famous Malloy, in her mid-20s at the time, who assisted him in the enterprise in recovering the money he owed. Detectives raided several properties operated by Atkins, and 3 weeks after the couple had broken up, they were both arrested. Malloy pleaded guilty to multiple charges that included supplying and trafficking of dangerous drugs, for which she was given a 3-year suspended sentence in April of 2020. Atkins was imprisoned for 7 years and would be eligible for parole after 2. Number 5. Yoman Fouad. In 2017, Yoman Fouad, a woman in her early 20s, was arrested outside of a Miami Beach nightclub after being identified and approached by one of her victims. 31-year-old Alain Rene Galette confronted Fouad, with whom he'd gone back to his residence in March. Galette, a music industry professional, alleged that after he and Fouad had had intercourse, she drugged him and made off with some of his luxury goods. The items included clothing, jewelry, and a Rolex watch, totaling over $32,000. Surveillance footage from his building appeared to confirm his version of events, as Fouad was captured, leaving with some of his belongings. When they met, she'd told Galette that her name was Amina. She'd changed her hair color and cut since their last encounter, but he recognized the woman by the tattoos on her hands. They began to argue in front of the nightclub, and the police were called to the scene to take Fouad into custody. The woman, also described as an Instagram model, subsequently told a judge that she was a high-end escort. Galette would later claim that he hadn't been aware of this aspect, as their night together hadn't included any monetary exchange. He wasn't, however, Fouad's first victim. About a year prior, she and an unnamed female friend had met a man at a nightclub in the Fontainebleau Hotel, who offered to get a room for the three of them. As they entered the room, Fouad, who'd used the name Rebecca Arias, and her friend watched him place a $46,000 Rolex watch and $8,000 in cash inside the hotel room safe. He then went downstairs to retrieve an overnight bag from his car. Upon his return, he realized that Fouad, her accomplice, and his belongings were gone. He had assumed that one of the women had watched him for the code to the safe. Fouad was already wanted for the 2016 theft by the time that she targeted Galette, but had managed to evade capture by constantly changing her appearance. She took a plea deal on the Florida cases for charges that included larceny, grand theft, and false identification, and spent roughly a year in prison. However, the investigation into Fouad continued, and Miami police tweeted out a picture of her at the moment of her arrest, asking others if they'd been victimized by her. She was revealed as a prime suspect in a string of other cases of seduction and theft on the East Coast that stretched up to New York. In fact, following her release from the Miami jail, she ended up in front of the Manhattan Supreme Court to answer to 4 counts of grand larceny for victimizing 4 men in Manhattan from 2015 to 2016. Number 4. Tori Ann Lila Hunter. Australian Instagram model Tori Ann Lila Hunter allegedly faced spending 5 years in a Balinese prison in August of 2019 on charges of smuggling drugs into the country. Indonesia is well known for its hard stance against drugs, with offenders sometimes even being given the death penalty. Hunter was stopped at an airport in Bali, strip-searched and detained for further questioning. Hunter was carrying dexamphetamine for her ADHD, Valium for anxiety and to help her sleep, and Seroquel for depression related to bipolar disorder. They were in pharmacy-labeled boxes, and she had a note from her doctor. Nevertheless, she was presented with a list that classified her personal medication as Class A drugs in the country. Hunter uploaded a video of her being driven in a car by an officer to Instagram, and also documented her living conditions, posting a photo with a bag of bread which she captioned, "Plain bread for dinner, like I'm a street dog." She ultimately spent 4 days in jail before the matter was cleared with the Australian embassy, and claimed that local authorities had extorted her out of more than $25,000 for her release. Hunter believed that she'd been targeted because of her social media status as a model and influencer. Number 3. Catherine Marnie. In 2018, a university student was charged with assault and disorderly conduct for attacking her boyfriend when he tried to put an end to their relationship. The incident took place in early March in a dorm at Fairfield University in Connecticut. 19-year-old Catherine Marnie, an Instagram model with over 100,000 followers and one of the university's top swimmers, had been dating Ben Keble. Originally from the Isle of Wight, Keble was also on the swim team and, like Marnie, a freshman. He told her that they should no longer see each other, and it's unclear if what followed was preceded by an argument, but Marnie proceeded to repeatedly punch him in the stomach and face. Keble tried to grab Marnie's shoulder, but was unable to stop her and consequently fled into a friend's room. The attack left him with a bloodied and broken nose, the pictures of which he shared with friends on Snapchat. He captioned it, "The Katie thing comes with a broken nose, LOL." Marnie was arrested after the incident and held on a $1,500 bond. Today's topic was requested by Topinka Hat. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. Amber Rose Tyson. In January of 2018, Amber Rose Tyson led the police on a car chase through Victorville, California. San Bernardino County Police responded to the 13100 block of Flint Lane following reports of vandalism from residents whose windows had been broken. The police arrived to find 22-year-old Tyson driving her BMW erratically and at high speeds through the neighborhood. A deputy activated the siren and warning lights on his patrol car, but the Instagram model didn't pull over. It marked the beginning of a pursuit that would ultimately last for roughly 40 miles on the I-15 freeway. Tyson actually uploaded a video to her Instagram account during the chase, in which multiple patrol cars could be seen in her rearview mirror. In the video, the model claimed that she wasn't going to stop while also using explicit language in reference to her pursuers. One of the deputies successfully employed a pursuit intervention technique, and Tyson was forced to slow down in the Rancho Cucamonga area because of the semi-trucks ahead of her on the road. She was arrested and charged for evading police, driving under the influence, and vandalism. In August of 2019, more than a year after the chase, Tyson was once again in trouble with the law. At around 2 a.m. in a Hollywood parking lot, a Ford Mustang had blocked her Mercedes. The owner and his friends and several other bystanders had been getting food from a taco truck nearby. Enraged, Tyson started screaming at them to move their vehicle. Reports on the matter were varied, with some witnesses claiming that the owner had refused to make space for Tyson and others saying that he was in the process of moving the car. Whatever the case might have been, surveillance footage would show Tyson repeatedly reversing her car and crashing it into the Mustang before pulling away. One man would report that the model actually hit him in the leg with her Mercedes, but the extent of his injuries was unclear. Tyson then returned on foot and caused more chaos by attacking two women, slapping one of them and punching the other in the back of the head. She later turned herself in and, among others, was charged with 3 felony counts of assault with a deadly weapon, along with 1 felony count each of hit-and-run driving, resulting in injury to another person. Tyson, who faced up to 8 years in prison, pleaded not guilty. Number 1. Monique Agostino. In November of 2018, 22-year-old Monique Agostino assisted a group of teenage males as they committed a string of burglaries on Sydney's North Shore. The Instagram model, whose following received a major boost from a post of her donning a Catwoman costume, acted as a getaway driver but also took a more hands-on role as the illegal activities were carried out. On the 6th of November, CCTV footage would show the masked woman using a chisel to break into a pizza restaurant in Killarney Heights. She and her accomplices also attempted to force their way into the nearby House of Fruit convenience store and the neighboring La Parisienne Cafe. That same day, she was part of a break-in at the Stanley Street Cafe in St. Ives, from where $300 in cash and a credit card was stolen. The card was later used at a McDonald's, which facilitated the authorities' efforts in tracking down the burglars. In late November, Agostino and her crew targeted the Forestville Bakery and made off with over $1,000 in cash. Agostino was arrested and sentenced to 2 years in prison, with a minimum of 18 months served, after also being convicted of possessing a knife in a Target, possessing illegal drugs, and shoplifting a $90 jacket. Thanks for watching. For $100,000, would you accept having a film crew document every moment of your life for a year, knowing that you could never watch the resulting documentary? Let us know in the comments section below.